say a little bit about Unify. We're built on Solana, and it's a revolutionary platform that aims to aggregate products and services from multiple chains into one user-friendly ecosystem. Our vision is to empower businesses and individuals in the Web3 space by providing a comprehensive solution for Web3 navigation, consistent lead generation, and community engagement. And, that's why we're speaking to OG projects like yourself. And, this is the second episode of our Unify podcast, where we try and demystify Web3. Every week we interview business leaders, founders, and individuals in or looking to enter the Web3 ecosystem. Our guests will share their experiences, advice, and their mistakes so you can learn from the best. And today I am very excited to introduce you to Andy. And if you don't know Andy, you need to know Andy, and you need to know the Cyberfrogs, because these guys really know what it's all about when it comes to grinding and building for sustainability and longevity. With little or no money and a heart of optimism, approximately 2 years ago, Andy took on the Cyberfrogs NFT project and has since turned it into one of the most exciting crypto trading utility projects on any blockchain. So with that out of the way, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here, Andy. And, the first thing I wanted to really get into on was, how did you get into Web3? Like your first entry point? I know I've heard you speak of buying Bitcoin at gas stations and stuff like that. So I'd love to get a little background on what got you here.
So I won't dox too much. But back in the day, Bitcoin transactions were pretty limited. There was a pretty, I think, small class of, people willing to accept it. And, for us and my friend group, we got into it for a couple of different reasons. One of it was that I was really lucky to have some mechanical engineers that I was friends with that looked at it from the technology perspective and were just like, dude, this is awesome. This is something, and it was Bitcoin, that was all that there was. This is something that you should pay attention to. I had a friend who was really into bodybuilding, and I was also really into bodybuilding at the time too. And he was essentially transacting, in Bitcoin on some of these forums. And so, through my network that I got exposed to Bitcoin. And from there, I just saw, I think, like a larger future for it. And I'm not some fucking future teller or anything like that. I looked at something that was unlike anything I had seen before, and I was instantly attracted to, one, the anonymity of it at the time. Two, the fact that it was, a decentralized methodology of payment structure, which I thought was really cool. And I just kept going, and so I got really plugged into the community really quickly. And back in the day, it was largely Reddit that we were all hanging out on, and you just make friends. And so it's the same thing like you see in NFT projects and Discords right now, and back at the time, like 2013, late 2012, it was a really small audience of people. And so, some of those guys have gone on to become massive influencers and creators in the space. And we just made friends with them and just sort of hung around and continued to see the advancements from the technology side. So, that's how I was originally, exposed to Bitcoin. And the reason that I stuck around is the same reason a bunch of people here in the audience, are still here. Is it is part of the, the relationships that you make and some of the innovation that you see, being really like cutting edge. And so for me, that just kept me around. And I was in and out, like everybody else, life has a way of happening. And, there were times when I was more active and there were times that I was less active. And then obviously like 2016, there was a lot of really cool innovation coming out. Ethereum was the first shitcoin, in a lot of the Bitcoiners' eyes. And I still thought it was cool. And dude, it just went from there. And so I've taken breaks, for like a year at a time where all I did was DeFi stuff. I'd just hang out, do a little training. Obviously, like buying dips. I didn't have THOR at the time. So I wasn't like a great trader or anything like that at the time. And dude, I just stuck around, and I think that that's one of the biggest things you'll hear people say is success isn't timing the market, it's time in the market, as cliche as that is to say sometimes. that's really the case.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, your last statement there hits the nail on the head. Is this timing market, because you see the pump, you see the cycles of it all. And if you try and dip in and out too much, and just chase the money, there's a good chance you're going to get wrecked, more often than not. Whereas if you sort of have your finger on the pulse with or without THOR, which we should certainly be diving into in a lot of detail later on, if you don't have that finger on the pulse, you can miss out. And, just in what you said there, I wanted to ask you, like, would you say in general that you're an early adopter? Like the people here in the audience, a lot of the frog community, a lot of Bitcoin maxis, they adopted early. And I feel like unlike sort of most rhythmic actions of like early adopters, they're in and they're out for the next thing. I feel like when you're that early, you're an early adopter where your sort of time in the market then lasts 10, 15, 20 years because you know how early you are.
Yeah. And I would call myself an OG. But even that, by like the OG standards, I was like second class OG. And, I think like the first sort of group was the late 2009 to like 2011 crew. Those guys were OG. And then like 2012 to 2015 is what I'd say is like second OG class or whatever. So not like I give a shit about labels or anything like that, but I would say that I'm, in that demographic, pretty crypto native at this point, man.
Yeah, man. Nice. Love it. And I think, your experience speaks volumes through your work and what you're putting out. And so, when was Cyberfrogs for you? What year, like what time, and, when did you take all that over?
Man, it feels like forever ago. Yeah, late November 2021 is when the original team basically rugged us. And we took over in November 2021. I'll never forget, man. I was like making the plans as I was packing up to head out for like Thanksgiving. And we had no idea what we were in store for, man. So, but that's when we officially took over the keys of the NFT project. And so, we're coming up on 2 years now at this point, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah, man, because time moves so quickly in Web3, but then 2 years is such a technically long time. So,
yeah.
How does it feel to sort of, in your sort of, how would you call it? Like the way you compare your timeline moving, how does it feel looking back on it all?
Dude, all I see is Cyberfrogs. And I don't want to just too much of the personal stuff, but on top of like derugging Cyberfrogs, it was one of the most difficult stretches for me personally. I was going through a divorce, very quickly after I took over the project. And then obviously, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and passed away a few months ago. And so I was the primary caregiver for her. So, dude, it's been a weird thing. And like, look, I know it's supposed to be all happy, hunky dory, like frogs fuck. And like we do. And I couldn't have gotten through that shit without the frogs. And I say that very seriously. It is a family to me and a support system of people that I respect and like truly have come to be my best friends. And I look back and it has been a very stressful stretch, man. Like, let's be real here. Running an NFT project is one of the most grueling, demanding entrepreneurial endeavors anyone can do if you set out with the intentions to make it successful. If you're just a rugging piece of shit, obviously you don't mean, anything you say. But man, that on top of just some of the personal stuff that had been going on, it was a really difficult stretch. And it has pushed me to some further limits, man, that I even knew I had. And, as much as it has been like a huge stressor and a huge, it's been the most difficult entrepreneurial endeavor that I have ever taken on. And I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. it was a mix of, adding difficulty to personal stuff and at the same time, like leaning on a group of
Yeah.
people who became family,
Yeah. Man. And I really appreciate you sharing that. And, I know that it was a struggle for you. And, who knows, this is the truth behind it, isn't it? There's PFPs and there's sounders and there's this and there's that. And behind it all is humanity, and there's a human being going through day-to-day life. And, what you've just said about the community being there for you, that's a really powerful thing. And I think community in Web3 is, humanity at some of its finest when you're in the level that you're at there, where people with no faces, no names, and yet, you feel as close to them as you do, someone in your family, man. So, I really appreciate that, brother. And,
it's all true too, man.
Mm, mm.
It's not easy for founders to talk about that sort of stuff either. And like, I know we got a lot to dig into, man, but like one of the things I've always approached the frog community as is like full transparency. And you're right, when you sit behind PFPs, there's like a disassociation from that person as a founder to an individual. And I never did that. I never wanted this. It was always grassroots, like what you saw is what you get. This is new team, blah, 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 blah. So I really, have always taken like a very personal approach with the Cyberfrogs community, especially at the start, when we were all like in the derug process together. I wanted, as much as it was relevant to be honest with everybody about what was going on from the project. And then also like what we were going through, it's starting out as a group of friends, who decided to derug, and it turned into what we are now. And so there's been a big cultural shift in the frogs from where we started to where we are now. And I'll say this, I do miss the early days sometimes. There was a lot less pressure, you know what I mean? And but it's really established a foundation of our community that you can't really replicate because they've been with me through all of it, and so it's been a weird journey, man, but it's been a great one, overall.
No, and I think, like I was going to say on that point is like you as a leader, you started in the trenches, right? So you like your soldiers and your crew and your community have grown up like shoulder to shoulder with you and have pushed you to where you are, I feel, and that really shows, I think, in the strength in that community that you've built. And I really like the fact that you said, founders don't talk about this sort of stuff, and that's exactly why I'm doing this podcast, is because I want people who are looking to enter the Web3 marketplace or looking to understand it more, see past the hype and the mainstream narrative that they're being fed when they listen to this and they hear, the reality of the relatability directly into Web2 business building. There's no difference in this other than it's 24/7 and, you are on show the whole time.
Yeah, there is no break, and as a founder, dude, you can't have like a bad day. Like you can have bad days, but you can't really like express that because, it's not the role, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, man, I really tried to, as always, do things my way and do things, the way that I see, is best. And like we all fucking do. And for me, that's come with a lot more transparency than I think is really prevalent in the space. And, I want people to know me not only as this frog PFP, but me as an individual, because how can you support? I've always found it difficult to support anonymous, elusive founders, though the speculation is there from a NFT investment side of things. I've always invested in people, and that's how I've had my success, personally and professionally, is investing in the right people because, I align with who they are and I can see, what they bring to the table. And I've always said this is I want to be a leader that I would be proud to follow. And I thought for me personally that transparency was one of the things that I always felt like was missing. And it's hard to drive, quote unquote hype while at the same time, humanizing yourself. And so
Yeah.
for us, it's been a learning experience as the whole industry is and always will be. But I'm really thankful with the support that we've gotten along the way. And man, I wouldn't expect it to change, and I couldn't change it even if I wanted to. It's just not who we are to be, fake and bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, man, 100%. And, and it shows. And on that note, I'd really like you to sort of get into your utility and your services, man. Like, tell us, maybe break it down into, one or two sections and just, give us the details on what it is exactly that you and THOR and Cyberfrogs do out here.
Sure, man. Dude, so if you wanted like two broad categories, Cyberfrogs
Mhm.
does two things. One of them is THOR, and then the second one is everything fucking else. Um, it's a lot. It's been a lot. I'll start with everything else and then get to the cake, icing, which is THOR.
Yeah.
We are the innovators of NFT trade swapping. We are the innovators of NFT soft staking. We have run B2B development services. We have continued to pioneer, I think, what NFTs really mean, especially on the Solana blockchain. And so we have a ton of NFT-centric utility. We have an NFT sniper, which automates NFT trading essentially, and we have a ton of plans for that in the future. But what's really happened is that our core focus has gone to number one, which is THOR and the related material around that. So we do two things, namely, we obviously run trading signals that have a year over year 70% hit rate. Don't believe me, talk to the people using it, look at the on-chain data, all that fun stuff. So we do curate trading experiences for those who want to manage their portfolios personally. And one of the most innovative things to come to the blockchain is our automated investment protocol, which we call TAP. And TAP is essentially a gateway into automated trading and decentralized financial services that can range from liquidity providing, liquid staking, to a number of other things that we have planned in the future. And so we provide services. Yeah. So if you want to manually trade, we got you. And if you want to automate your trading, we got you.
Yeah, man, nice. So let's just dig into that a little bit. So if you could just, give me your like, me, obviously I know, but like for the listeners out there, the audience and the people that are going to be, running over themselves to go and get Cyberfrog and get involved, what is your background, like your team, how is it that you are able to offer this level of accuracy, and the high quality build of the auto trade and the manual calls and stuff? Could you like just indemnify that for us a bit?
Totally. And personal background, like I said, serial entrepreneur. I got my undergrad in English and communications. I went off to go and get my MBA after that. From there, I went directly into entrepreneurship, and I have run and sold retail line of vape stores, had multiple lines of products within that industry, and successfully sold that before moving on to the cannabis industry full time, where I ran multi-million-dollar operation facilities, a string of dispensaries across 6 states, and had multiple brands and products aligned with that as well. I got really burnt out of the cannabis industry just with all of the regulatory oversight that started coming with it, and it just quit being fun. And so, I've always had entrepreneurship, business development, sales, and leadership. And so it was a really natural role for me to fall into with Cyberfrogs. I was really lucky to be surrounded by professionals of equal caliber within their own fields at Cyberfrogs within the community. And that team is still growing today. The real big key component that happened was we met Sile. And Sile is quite literally, and I don't mean any shade to anybody else, but the absolute number one best developer on Solana, bar none, without fucking question. And Sile has a background of quantitative trading in quantitative development and any coding language with over 30 years of experience in development and coding. And so the stars aligned very quickly, where you have business development and then leadership, and then the backbone of the frogs, which is Sile and his coding and development capabilities. And it progressively got to where I started learning about his service that he called THOR. And he was so elusive about it at first. He would never tell me a straight answer. He's, like very guarded and gated. And it finally, like after a year around of working together, I finally learned what THOR was. And my ideas started flowing. And from that, he and I came together to build TAP, which is, an open to use investment protocol using a tool that would largely be inaccessible to non-accredited investors. And we built the automated trading protocol off of that. And, I'm not to say it's just been Sile and I. There's been a ton of help along the way with equally badass individuals. And, but that was the big key, man. He is the yin to my yang, like straight up. And Sile and I just keep pushing ourselves to create and I think drive innovation.
Love that, man. And, what a fantastic background and entry that you've had. I can't think of any better qualifications than what you've got. And then, to support the crypto trading side of things, you've got, and the Web3 side, you've got Sile on board. So when we're talking about, what we're referring to moving forward, being auto trading, crypto trading, for the listeners to understand that these are or a team bigger than two, led by two very extremely talented and skilled professionals with a wealth of experience behind them. So these are the people building this product. So really appreciate you taking the time to sort of bring us up to speed on that. And then do you want to, start either on your manual calls or your auto trade, like however you want to then just give us a bit more depth on that and really shield that to us?
Totally, man. And I'm not a big shiller, that about me at this point, but I will at least tell you my perspective.
Yes, please.
Let's start with manual calls. So we provide, historically accurate is what our legal team says to say. Historically accurate trading signals against every tradable commodity in existence, crypto stocks, futures, forex derivatives, everything in between. And what we've done is we've allowed frog holders to interact with our trading signals and to receive those signals based off of holding tiers for Cyberfrogs. And I'm going to be the first one to tell everybody listening now or in the audience or the future, don't fucking believe a word anybody says when they start talking about their own product. And that is always how I have operated. Don't believe me. Go and talk to people who are respected within the industry who personally use it. There are a ton of, third-party traders and I think reputable individuals within the Solana space who use it firsthand with no agreement. They use it because it works well for them. And we have a community built around these trading signals, and it maintains, like I had said, a year over year and month over month, 70% average of trade validation. And we quantify that by it hits entry point and it hits at least take profit level 1. And it's a way for people to take the stress, lack of knowledge or skill around trading, or even for the most master level trader, a confirmation to their own TA, or even what I've heard time and time again is that it is a time saver, and people who know how to trade generally will test out THOR and run it against their own TA, and then they'll find confluence most of the time. And it gets to a point from their feedback that they quit running their own TA and they just start using THOR signals. And so we can take master level traders and provide value to them, or we can take completely green newbie traders and give them a tool for them to learn and for us to facilitate to become, profitable and successful traders. that it takes the guesswork out of trading. Now, we've also released what we call THOR Pro, and THOR Pro is one of the coolest iterations of what we have at this point. It's essentially a way for people to take the most profitable trades. Instead of going through and having to look through signals yourself, we have a couple of different mechanics that you can select, deltas for trade ranges or specific assets, specific timeframes. And THOR will tell you the most likely and most profitable trades, in a one-by-one basis, basically. And so you can go in and, for instance, like today, everything's pumping. I'm looking for short signals myself, and I can go and say, I want a short. I want it to be at least a 5 to 8% trade range, and I'm going to take that. And from a tool that helps save you time, THOR Pro is something that we've released to really, expand that to where you can just get the trades you want to take right in front of your face, pretty much on demand. And so that is what our manual signals are. And I just want to reiterate this. It's for professional level traders, and it is for newbie traders alike. We have educational content that we're rolling out at the end of this month, and it can be a full-on trading 101, and this is how to use THOR. And on top of that, we have our community of people actively using it who serve as a resource as much as THOR itself does. You can talk to them about trades. You can, tell people what trades you're thinking of taking, and you can get feedback from other people, looking at the same trades as you and what their, sentiment towards it is. And manual trading is, I would say, a broader range of application because people can trade their own style and can maximize profitability if they have a time-tested and successful trading strategy. And if not, we can recommend trading strategies that generally, have a historical, I don't want to say it's so funny. We got a legal team and now I'm so cautious on what we say. Historically have profitable trading strategies is the best way to say that. And so, and we get that that's not for everyone. And so what we did on top of that is that we provided people access to automated trading and what is essentially and has become, the world's first decentralized on-chain hedge fund, an investment protocol. When people call TAP a trading bot, they have no clue what they're talking about. And we sort of just giggle behind the scenes because it's not an accurate representation of what it is that we're doing. And we can't wait to educate people, I think on a more intentional level. But we've taken THOR and we've taken that successful trading ratio and we've applied it to automated on-chain trading to where our trading proof is on-chain verifiable. There's absolutely, no discrepancies between what we've said and what happened on-chain. It's all verifiable. And what we've taken, what we've done on top of profitable trading is that we've applied other DeFi protocols and strategies and we've integrated it into TAP. And so let's just say you have $100, $50 of it is in Solana and $50 of it is in USDC while it's sitting in the trading protocol. Instead of just having that money sit there and waiting for trades, we've maximized, investment profitability by liquid staking. And by also one of the planned releases that we have is liquidity providing. And you can have your money working for you, even if it's sitting in standard base assets or along the way while it is trading, buying and selling assets at specified intervals. And so it's truly become, a unicorn. Nothing like it really exists. And that's one of the things that we're most proud of is that it's not easy to build. It's 100% not easy to build. And even when people build it, they still don't have THOR. And at the core of everything we do is, a battle-tested trading suite. And the automated portion of that has really given people the opportunity who want to set it and forget it, the ability to park capital somewhere and know that it is being traded and managed, effectively. And, one last thing to touch on that, man, because I can get on a rant for this for hours, is that we've really opened up a service that doesn't exist into the general population's, ability to interact with. Typically speaking, if you're to interact or engage in a hedge fund, you have to be an accredited investor. And the method in which we've set this up opens this up to every person that exists. It doesn't matter if you're trying to trade $50. It doesn't matter if you're trying to trade $5 million. We can facilitate that. And that's from part of the beauty of the blockchain and the decentralized manner, in the ecosystem that we live in. And it's really cool because it doesn't cost any money to use. We have such a confidence in our skills and the proficiency of our protocol that the only revenue that we generate from it is if there's a profit. We don't expect you to pay if you lose. That's not our nature. And so there's a tax structure in place where your profit is taxed. And unlike traditional hedge funds, there's no operational fee. There's a 2 and 20% model in hedge funds, 2% operational fee for the amount of capital that is under management, regardless of performance, and then a 20% performance fee. We've foregone the operational fee because we wanted to put, our money where our mouths are. And we wanted to show people that this is something that we're confident in, and we're only going to win if you win. And from that, TAP was born, and we're really only in the very formative stages of its potential. And that's what makes me most excited. I find things every day that I message Silent. I'm like, hey man, we need to incorporate this into TAP, and it's gotten to become where it's a set it and forget it, diversified portfolio management tool for people who want to trade, want to diversify into different, multiple assets, and also engage in other DeFi protocols that are interest or yield generating deposits on their capital that's already under management by TAP. And so it's a one-stop shop, and nothing like that exists. And we're really proud to be the first ones.
Oh my days.
It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
Bro, it's a lot, but what it boils down to is providing previously inaccessible money-making, so maybe that's not the right word, do your own research, NFA, potential reward-gaining tools that are otherwise inaccessible by the majority of society, and you've made it available to pretty much everybody, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's a lot to digest, isn't it? And there's so many aspects of it that I could dig into, like, even more thoroughly. But it's a lot for people who are generally in the NFT ecosystem. DeFi is still, I think, underexplored on Solana, and that the NFT division of things and the DeFi division, the crypto space, there hasn't really been a successful crossover. I feel like, you've adopted one ecosystem or the other. And we're really looking, everyone talks about bridging the gap to Web 2. We're starting, I think, with a much more obtainable goal, which is bridging the gap between crypto enthusiasts across a variety of different, thresholds and ecosystems, even within this small niche. And so that's something we're really excited about.
Exactly. And look, when you say you're bridging the gap, you hear it, you read it in almost every NFT project bio, but the reality is how you build your bridge and then how you incentivize people to use your bridge. There's 50,000 bridges being built, and there's, X, Y, or Z number of people looking at that bridge. And what you're doing is you are offering a no win, no fee opportunity, where you're saying, look, if you know nothing, come here, put your money what you would normally put in a savings account, and you'll probably do all right, And then you're also saying, if you are already a skilled trader, then we can provide more value, give you more time back, and allow you to maybe double down on other aspects of your portfolio or what have you. The way that you've built it gives you the historical data to, again, incentivize those people to cross that bridge via your bridge. And I think, I mean, do you mind and do you want to touch on sort of how Unify is going to help bring eyes in the Web 2 format? Or do you want to touch on how you are focusing on the Web 2 format?
Sure. I mean, I think, we should both talk about our projects individually, and then obviously like how, you can leverage those, interdependently and in tandem with one another. And I can tell you how we plan to do it, is that we're going to make a broadly accessible brand, TAP, and provide a service to people who don't understand crypto and or do understand crypto. And people don't know how to interact with, I don't know how long you've been in the space, man, but the first month or 6 months is such an exciting and an overwhelming experience when you get into crypto. We can help facilitate people who, are either native, or exploring the crypto space and provide them a historically, effective method for them to manage their own capital. And so for us, it's really become, outreach to institutional and retail investors, which I don't know if I've announced this formally yet. We finally are legally allowed to do after a year of negotiating with lawyers to set up our company and our entity and all that stuff. We can become a broadly accessible investment tool for people who want to expose their portfolios to a crypto holding. And what's really cool about that is that it doesn't require you to be an accredited investor. It doesn't require you to manage $100,000, put in $50, put in $500, and that's how we see adoption really, I think, becoming expedited, is providing tools historically unavailable to people and marketing to a demographic of individuals who has not yet really been tapped. And part of the reason that we call it tap, like we're tapping into those markets, and we're tapping into a demographic of people who don't have that exposure yet. And so, and with Unify, from what I know about your project, like that's the same thing that you're looking to facilitate as well, is education and understanding. And, I think what you would say is, voice of reputability to people who may not be able to sift through the noise on their own, and that you provide resources and opportunities for them to learn about things that have been vetted and tested. And, that's really aligned with how we operate, morally and as a business structure is, exposure and validity. And I think more important, reputability, those are all things that are brought to the table. There's a lot of ways to onboard normies. There's not a lot of ways to keep them happy and keep them engaged in your services when 99% of them are scams or bullshit. The common thread that we see all over everywhere is, oh, number go down, and that's what they say, because they keep buying the fucking tops every time that there's a media pump. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real.
Yep. Yep.
There are exit liquidity in bull markets. And, I think that we both aim to give them information that they previously wouldn't have had otherwise, from a level of reputability.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that low risk exposure to it, like, again, you were saying about reducing that barrier of entry to these toolkits that you've created to an everyday guy, who's got spare 50 quid, or girl, or whoever in between has got a spare 50 quid and wants to make the most of it, and this allows you to, essentially compound money with starting with very, very little. And I think that's what Unify really sort of holds its candle to, is projects that are allowing individuals access into an ecosystem that, as early adopters and builders, is not only the future, but has the main potential to provide generational wealth or life-changing gains, this is not guaranteed. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. But, if there's any way you're going to do it, it's in a young and innovative ecosystem like Web3. And I think you share the sentiment where you want to share, the potential to as many people as possible in the safest way as possible, because as the entry into Web3 can be daunting, can be filled with risks, and Unify wants to become almost a window of community verified as well as legally verified businesses and service providers in the ecosystem, that allows them to enter with almost no barrier. You don't need a wallet, sign via email. You can get access to things like THOR. You can get access to, NFT generation, artists, this sort of thing, and all through one place with a familiar layout and a low barrier of entry. So, that's why, you were one of the first projects as Unify that we wanted to reach out to, because we really believe in the way you build, what you've built, and the ethos you carry in this ecosystem.
No, dude, I appreciate that. And, as well as I do, it takes a lot of hard work to I think, gain that ability and to even have the platform to stand on. And I'm humbled every day by the fact that people give a shit about my opinion, and it's the first time that's ever happened in the crypto space, and dude, it's really a difficult thing to obtain. And so, reputation to me is everything. Without it, I don't think I don't think the frogs would be what it was. And, that's just something that you can't buy. I think that a lot of people have tarnishes on their record, and, I'm currently batting 100 right now. So I think once you go in and you establish that reputability, that your community does the rest of the work for you, by providing that level of trust and transparency that they aligned with and decided to stick around for it. You hear me say it all the time, man. Don't trust me. Go and talk to the people using it. The same's to be said for, when people get exposure into your project, man. It's not you telling them why they should buy in or support your project. It's the people around them who have made those decisions of their own volition that speak volumes comparatively. And
absolutely. As founders and as builders and innovators, it's our job to build something that is as exciting, that's so exciting and such a good experience and has such a good community around it that those people actually can't wait to go and tell their friends about it. We're not telling anyone anything. It's being said for us, on our behalf, because of what we've created. And so, man, so awesome, bro. And just incredible what you've built. And, I think we'll probably get you back on and dive deeper as we progress and as you guys progress. I wanted to obviously touch on Thordinals, but just before we do, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you want to know if you were to start your journey again, or what advice would you want to share to new businesses, brand owners, entrepreneurs, or individuals, in the space from what you guys your journey?
Oh yeah, man. Understand the market. I've seen huge companies and brands come into the space and they don't understand it well enough to thrive here. And that they largely only appeal to their, captive audience already. And that's not really a way to scale your services. And so, and it's the same with NFTs. I've had plenty of people that I'm friends with say, hey, this is my NFT idea, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, dude, that sounds like you'll mint out. It doesn't sound like you'll sustain for 2 years, and it's not meant to be a dig at their idea, but, it's not really a well-flushed idea, and they don't understand the audience very well. And so really have a fine-tuned, specified target audience, with a very, core set of values that, I say this all the time, that really resonate with those individuals. understand the market, understand your audience, and understand how to provide value to them. And that is the hardest thing to do, and also the only thing worth doing.
Yeah, that's great advice, man. I really like that. And I think, you see it, I see it. I live in, a small city, and the area, this is like referring to sort of Web 2 in what you said, where you see a shop pop up in a certain area in town, or an art gallery, or a restaurant. And because you know the town, you know that that isn't where people go to eat. And it tells you instantly that that person's done no market research for where they're going to locate their business, bricks and mortar shop. And the same can be said for when you're entering into Web3, is know your market, know your audience, and know how you're going to provide and continue sustaining yourself way after your mint,
Yeah. Dude, that's the one hilarious thing about our ecosystem is we want to give people hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, for ideas. Not all of them really viable, and from there, the expectation is that they'll, knock it out of the park, and with that number go up for NFT or whatever the investment is. And it's just not how the real world works. It's not how real businesses operate. Obviously there's VC funding and people can, seed round and raise money and capital in advance, but, these are largely, given and provided by really astute investors who understand their risk portfolio and tolerances and have done their due diligence on the business model. Whereas in NFTs and crypto, it's largely a speculative investment, which doesn't always pan out. Like, let's be real here. Solana is 90% rugs, if not more. And so there's a level of responsibility that a new project has, obviously if their intentions are to do, what's right. And, I think it's still such a new industry that people have taken that for granted on the investment side of things. Unfortunately, it subsequently have, lost a lot of money. And, NFT specifically was a big driving factor on the Solana side of things over the last year or so. And we're just now getting into a new era of what Solana is. And, that same level of skepticism and investment sort of savviness is the same thing that needs to be applied now and forever. Don't just look at something new and shiny. Try it as much as possible. Try and understand if you trust the intentions and the business structure of whatever it is these people are pitching. Otherwise it gets to a point where, you lose money again. And so skepticism is your friend in the crypto space. And, obviously due diligence and the burden of responsibility is sadly on the individual shoulders within our space. And it's a lot. And I think services like Tap and Cyberfrogs and Uni-Fy, I think, help answer some of the, those hard questions to answer, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree, man. And, it's been a difficult journey, I think, for a lot of people who did come in and buy the top and then just went straight into a bear. I see it as thinning the crop, like the builders, the strong ones will prevail. And if you're here now and you're putting in the work and you're doing your due diligence, you're learning, you're watching who bounces back, then you will be in a strong position come a bull run, shall we say. And, if you're not here now, it's like we were saying earlier about taking your finger off the pulse. That's when it's going to be difficult to just drop back in and differentiate the new FOMO and the new hype from the OGs who were here building the whole time. Because mark my words when I say, since starting Unify, one of my main missions has been to seek out incredible talent and project and utility. And some of what I have found that I have never even heard a whisper of is quite shocking. And THOR is one of those for you listening now that have just discovered THOR and listen to this. This is a DeFi hedge fund that, diversifies your portfolio and allows you to set and forget or give you insane calls. And, if this were Web 2, my God, it would be on the side of buses and it would be, in Parliament Square and everywhere else, because it's that good a tool. But, Unify wants to bring these projects to the forefront, wants to uncover them from the depths of Web3 crypto, Discord, and point them directly to Web2 consumers so they can easily take advantage of these incredible builders and powerful utilities and tools that they're putting out. So, man, I really appreciate your time today, and I hope that you can spare us a little bit more just to dip in on Thordinals, your upcoming min that we are all extremely excited about. And if you don't know, I imagine you will soon know. And after listening to this and following a link in the description, you'll be able to find out more as well.
Yeah, man. So the quick rundown. The power of THOR is coming to Bitcoin. And you said it just a second ago. I think a lot of people are positioning themselves for a bull market, or at least a relief rally, let's say, at worst. And we provide tools and services to help people do just that. We provide and applied THOR to the manual signals. And the difference is, the key differentiator here is that instead of USD base pairs, meaning you're trading crypto against US dollar, you're trading crypto against other crypto. And so it's a way for you to stay, at maximum exposure to crypto markets. And it's a way for you fundamentally to what we call stack sats and trade against Bitcoin as the base pair to make more Bitcoin. That's what a lot of us are here for. We want Bitcoin, we want more crypto. We're giving you a tool to do that. And future developments, and I'm not, going to be coy about this. It's going to take quite a bit of time to build, but we will be doing an automated trading protocol as well, specific for our Thordinals collection that does everything we just talked about. And once again, applies it to Bitcoin being what you want more of. And we will have an automated trading service for that. On top of that, art is very important to the Bitcoin community, given a couple of influencers over there who really push that narrative. Not only will we have some of the absolute best art on the blockchain, we're going to finally have a tool and a service that is just as powerful to back it up, which has not been done before on Ordinals or Bitcoin. And all of my Bitcoiner G friends tell me that Ordinals are bullshit and that they're dumb, and I'm not going to waste my sats on those. And then I tell them about Thordinals, and I tell them about THOR, and I tell them about what it does. And let's just say we have a lot of Bitcoin OGs who are already pre-saled to Thordinals. And as we scale, I think that we are going to do what we've done on Solana. And I don't give a fuck about the meta. I don't give a shit about what people tell me I need to do to be relevant. We're going to do the same thing that we have done over the last 2 years and put our money where our mouths are and provide value first to people who adopt our NFT or our Ordinals. And it's a bit of counterculture, and we don't give a shit. That's who we are. And frogs are coming to Bitcoin, and we're going to fuck just as hard as we always have.
Oh, man. So, just to sort of reiterate what's just been said, all of the juicy automation and innovation for Solana and other pairs is now coming direct to Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I bought my first Bitcoin at $300 and I sold it all too early. So my main goal has been to stack Thordinals and go get that bag back. And I'm certainly excited for that. It is just an absolute pleasure, man, to speak with such a dedicated builder. Really appreciates where you've come from, the roots, your team, your community, You, in my opinion, are, one of the leaders, and you've built a unicorn within the ecosystem. And I don't just mean Solana, I mean the Web3 ecosystem, because I see THOR and Thordinals going, all the way to the top and, becoming institutional tools and so much more. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I wanted to ask if there are any bits of alpha you can drop for us, any giveaways you might have for the audience. I know I didn't warn you about this. I just want to drop it on you and fully just say no. I can completely understand if you can't. So I just want to throw that out
Man, fuck it. Yeah, dude. Let's give away a trial to THOR. I will give someone a week access to Giga Whale level THOR access, which is, I think it's like a $15,000 entry or something like that at this point. Again, let's get you trading. Let's get you degenerate shitcoin traders, which is our trading channel, and let's get you trading with THOR. So yeah, do you want to do a giveaway? I'm shit at picking people out. Most people in the audience I see are Cyberfrogs, and I love you guys. And yeah, so here's what I'll do. If you don't have Giga Whale access to THOR and you want a week-long trial, what kind of emojis do we want, brother? What do we want to do? We got to do something random so that they're a call card. I want black hearts. Give me black hearts and I'll pick somebody.
Boom. You heard it here first, guys. $15,000 entry giveaway right here. Episode 2, Unify Podcast, Cyberfrogs, Andy killing it. I am actually incredibly jealous of this giveaway. I know I can't end it because I'm on the team and all of that. So, guys, seriously, this is unheard of. Take full advantage. Absolute legendary giveaway. Let's see those black heart guys.
All right. So I'm going to go with the first black heart that I saw. They were the quickest to the draw. Turdo Joe. You start yourself a week access to Giga Whale THOR, and we'll get you. So we have people in Discord. What the fuck? How do you change heart colors? We'll get you access to our trading channel. And yeah, man, good job. You're the first one. Quick trigger, man.
Outstanding, guy. Congratulations, Tordo. We would love to get your feedback on that, your experience, so maybe reach out, hit me in DMs, and we can jump on like a YouTube short or a little podcast interview about your experiences on that to follow up from this. Also, to make everyone aware, and I haven't even told Andy this, or maybe he heard, but so our episode 1, I actually minted as an NFT. I minted 50 editions of the episode 1 podcast. I will be doing the same for this podcast. That royalties will be split 50-50 with Cyberfrogs and the Uni-Fy. Anything Uni-Fy get goes into just building the Uni-Fy vision and making sure everything is outstanding as it can be. So there'll be 50 editions available in the next 24 hours. If you go into our Discord, it's automatic OG application. This will be redistributed on YouTube, TikTok as shorts, YouTube as a podcast, Buzzsprout as a podcast, and just about everywhere else that it can go. Cyberfrogs and Addy will tag you everywhere that it does go. We'll send you copies of all of the short versions so you can redistribute those. And man, it's been an absolute pleasure. If anyone here wants to find out about Cyberfrogs, wants to sign up for THOR, how do they do it, Andy? Where do they go? Drop your links and tell people what to do.
Right. The easiest way to get familiar with our ecosystem is to join our Discord. I know that's not for everyone, but there's a lot going on. And so join our Discord, just pop out a question in our general chat, and you got a whole range of community members that are helpful, and most of them are nice. So they'll be asking to help get people onboarded. No, we got a great community. Everyone's really welcoming, and they'll get you going in the right direction.
Well, look, guys, I feel like this is a good place to wrap it up. I'm going to be hosting these every Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we got One Link Solutions. check us out on YouTube. All of our links are through our hop link in our bio. Like, follow, share, tag friends, and we look forward to speaking to you next time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks, Andy.
Not a problem, man. It was my pleasure, brother. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for having me.